Good morning, everyone. How are you guys all doing? Good morning, everyone. How are you guys all doing? Oh, let's go mute the stream. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so I didn't stream yesterday, but I think I have a more solid idea about what I want to kind of do now. So I don't know, I've got a solid direction, I think. Hi Lobo, hi Yosef, hi Plage. I don't know how to pronounce that one, no. Yeah, so I spent yesterday and this morning kind of refining my idea, and I think I have a solid direction. And yeah, I'm all good this morning. I'm just excited to hopefully get a good solid prototype done today. So I was kind of busy yesterday, so I assume some of you have seen I posted a GIF over on the Discord and on Twitter and stuff about what I've kind of got up to yesterday. So I got a solid prototype, I think, with this kind of like possession, enemy possession kind of mechanic going. And today I want to refine that further and hopefully get some sort of playable demo. Okay, so let's talk about my idea. So on the first stream, we kind of came up with this idea about you becoming the enemy. So when the enemy dies, you kind of take over them. And so the end of the enemy's life is kind of a new beginning for your abilities, which ties into the theme of an end is a new beginning for the jam. And so I've taken this a bit further. And now I think I really want to focus down on the combat side and make this, I'm definitely going to go down the top-down shooter kind of route. So I'm thinking of games like Hyperlight Drifter for inspiration, and also some like FPS arena shooters. So Doom I'm looking at, and there's also this smaller game called Devil Daggers, which is really interesting. I might share some game design videos I found about them later on. You like the music? Yes. Oh, I love it's kind of like Afrobeats kind of style. I really like it, yeah. So I'll probably be switching between this and some lo-fi girl and stuff later. Okay. So what's on the agenda today? So this is kind of my to-do list for now. So yesterday I got like the shooting mechanics down. However, so I was thinking, one of the issues we were talking about in the first stream was how do we encourage the player to want to switch and take control of enemies, but also as some sort of limitation and interesting decisions around that. And I think I found a good solution. Okay, so my take on this is going to be, you kind of start as this really basic character who just has a melee attack. And then if you kill an enemy with that melee attack, you take control of them. However, when you're controlling an enemy and you kill another enemy, you don't actually possess them in that sense. You have to be using this basic attack. I think it'll be quite intuitive to play, so hopefully I can get it working kind of quickly and show you guys what I mean. Okay, so we have some basic shooter enemies, we have some basic top-down shooter mechanics. Let's get this swordplay working. So right now I only have it so you're controlling the enemies. So I think we need to kind of take a step back here and implement the very core fundamental player movement. What should we call this? Let's call this a base player. So it's kind of like the fresh, I don't know, player abilities they have without any of the enemies being like possessed, quote unquote. So I have this input class which I made yesterday, and so that's going to handle all our main controls. And so let's tie it into this. So what is the best way to go about this? The way I did it yesterday is I just had it so you're controlling enemies. You don't actually have any abilities without that. So the enemy has like this boolean, whether or not they're possessed or not. And then the game looks at that to decide what the enemy is going to do. So in the update loop, we're kind of making a decision here. So if they are possessed, we're running one update, which let's go over. I have a like hierarchical reference kind of system going. So if we're controlled by the player, we're just getting their input keys to decide what we do. And if we're being controlled by the enemy side, then we're going to just do some really basic AI to work out what direction they're moving in, what attacks they're doing, that kind of thing. But then ultimately, they have the same abilities and they're going to kind of react and act in the same way, if you get what I mean. Okay, the base player. So I guess to do this, we can check if the player is controlling another enemy. If they are, we'll just ignore this kind of entity, this class. And if they aren't, then we'll set this active and allow the player to control this default player instead of another enemy. Yeah, so let's start with the bool here, I guess. Yes, let's do that, yeah. Puppet bool, and we'll call that. What should we call it? Player is player possessing enemy. And so we can do something here to clean up the code. We can just check immediately if the player is possessing an enemy, we just return. We don't want to do anything with this character. Then afterwards, let's add in some basic movement. So let's just go over here and copy what we have for the enemy. That's probably in the default enemy class. Yeah, so let's just steal that for now. So on update, we'll take that and then let's assign a move speed. I don't think Visual Studio's updated our IntelliSense yet, so we'll have to wait for the autocorrect stuff to start working. Move speed, done. Then we need to add in some sort of direction, so that would just be our move input. Again, let's steal that from, so we have it in the player controller. Oh yeah, so we can just player controller. I made the player controller. This is like our input handler in a way into a singleton. So that means we can just access it. There's only been one of it in the scene at any given time, and we can just always access it from any class using this static reference, which we set in awake. So we'll get player controller. Oh, I have to do this without any of the auto, what's it called? Auto coding thing. Player controller, then it's called instance. Oh, there we go. Instance dot move input, and then we normalize that. So normalize kind of means that we make sure that the length of this vector is always going to be 1, because else, imagine we have move input, so it'll be going between 0 and 1 depending on what direction we're moving in. Say, so if we're holding down the left arrow, the x-axis will be -1. If we're holding down the right arrow, the x-axis will be 1. But then we kind of run into the issue that the y and the x could both be 1 at the same time. And then that's creating this longer vector because of Pythagorean theorem. So we normalize it just to make sure it's kind of going in a kind of, so we don't move fast when moving diagonally, basically. Okay, is possessing an enemy, return. So let's create this default player object. We'll just keep calling this base player. It's a little normal stuff, collider, a rigid body. The base player script. So with the art style for this game, I'm thinking of going kind of down this like minimalist route, maybe. This minimalist kind of pixel retro kind of look. Possibly similar to what I give one of my previous games called Synthetic, which I made a devlog on a while ago. Okay. Oh yes, we didn't get a rigid body either, did we? No. Why is it taking so long for IntelliSense to load? This is annoying. I think let's play the game. Just so, of course, let's comment that out. Yeah, I've kind of switched. So there's two main code editors most people use with Unity. Oh, I haven't turned off gravity for the player yet. And those are VS Code and the normal Visual Studio. And I think usually I used to use Visual Studio, but now I'm kind of leaning back towards VS Code because it's very minimalist, kind of lightweight, easier to get started. But there's sometimes it can be really annoying to get working with Unity. Is player possessing enemy rigid body? Okay, let's set up this rigid body quickly. Interpolate, no sleep, continuous, and no gravity. I'm at work, but I really want to work on my own game jam killer. Oh, that's rough. Yeah, I'm super lucky. This game jam felt really well for me. So I think I have the rest of the week free. So that's gonna be great. Hopefully though, when you get home, you can get started. The beauty of 7-day game jams, and you don't have to worry about the time limit too much. And so you can take the pace a bit slower than you would with a 48-hour or 72-hour jam. I like to use JetBrains Rider. Yeah, I've heard good things about that. Yeah. Okay, let's set that. 5. Let's just copy it for the enemies. I think I want everyone to move. Actually, no. Let's scrap that. Let's make the player move faster than normally. Okay, it's best the enemy. So we need to add some sort of melee attack. That's one of the first things we need to do. IntelliSense is still loading. Why? Okay. Okay, so we're controlling both now. Lovely. Okay. So the way I had it before is I just immediately set the player to possess one enemy, but now we can have it start. So you're kind of this really basic character, and then you have to kill an enemy, take control of their body, and then you can start kind of fighting around. I'm thinking I'll kind of have this like wave and floor system for the levels. So you kind of go into a different floor, and then you have, I don't know, 3 or 4 different waves of enemies. Then you can progress to the next floor and kind of build up like that. So we kind of get this fast-paced combat flow divided between different floors, so we can slowly ramp up the difficulty. I'm going to reload Visual Studio because that's annoying me. Okay. Enemy base player. Okay, let's add in the attack now. Okay, that's our movement done. So let's go on to combat. Okay, so here, actually, the best way to do this, let's steal the shooter code I had for the enemies and convert that into a melee attack, like a sword swing kind of. Okay, we can steal more stuff from the enemy class. Okay, let's just copy all of those. Oh, there we go. Finally, IntelliSense is loaded. Okay, that's going to speed this up a great deal. Okay, attack. So let's call this attack rate. So this is just going to be how fast we can swing our sword, basically. Nothing crazy. Damage. We don't need to worry about bullet speed. Okay. So a neat trick, actually, when it comes to timers in Unity is instead of having this kind of like countdown thing where you're solely you're reducing a timer by time.delta time every frame, what you can do instead is use this other neat variable in time called just time.time. And so this is how long it's been since we loaded up the game. And so you can use this to check your countdown timers instead of having to have another variable like kind of like this that you constantly have to be reducing. That doesn't make any sense in code, but I hope you get the idea. Okay, so when we click the mouse button, we're going to check if our attack cooldown is like run its length, and then we can perform some sort of sword swing. Time to attack, sword swing. So we can probably do some sort of like physics check here around the player. Vector 2, let's call this attack direction. Attack da, and that's going to be based on our mouse position around the player. So we can subtract let's get our mouse position from our player controller, which is like our input handler. Mouse position minus that by transform the position. And then we're going to perform some sort of physics check in that direction. Hi Zion Brown. I finally managed to make one of these. Let's go. That's great. Yeah, I'm hoping that if I stream for most of today and for the rest of the week, I think everyone should get a chance to kind of join the stream. So it should be great. I know it's awesome to see how much engagement there's been to the 2 streams that I did on Sunday. Though I'm like shocked by like how many people have like commented and like showing support for the jam. It's awesome. Well, let's see, we need to cast yeah, let's cast this to a vector 2. Okay, attack direction. Oh, we need to add an attack distance. You'll see why we need that in a second. Should we call it attack range or attack distance? Let's call it attack distance. Let's see, yeah, so then we're going to grab all the colliders, which this like attack kind of circle, which our attack interacts with. So we use this neat feature from the Physics 2D library. Okay, let's get our transform, our base player position. Then we're gonna add on our attack direction, normalized, and then times that by attack distance. Okay, range. Oh, yes, let's add that. So this is kind of our attack size then, I guess. So what we're kind of doing here is we have our player, okay? And then around them, we're gonna perform like a check. So all the enemies in this circle will like be hit by our attack. Okay, transform position. We add on this. We need to convert this to a vector 2. Let's put in our attack size. Let's get a layer mask, so we're only attacking our enemies. Enemies layer. Enemy layers. Okay. So let's loop through these colliders and get all the ones which we need to damage. Okay, collider 2D, cool. Or let's call this enemy, or let's call it hit. That's nice. Hit in collider calls hit. Okay, let's say, so we're getting a new enemy, and then we can use our take damage function, which I made yesterday. Enemy is equal to hit, and we're going to get our enemy component from that. We dot take a damage, and then we use our attack damage. And then in here, we need to do a check to see if we want to possess the enemy. Okay, so there's a couple caveats we're going to have to make sure we cover for here. Okay. So far in the enemy class, we have a take damage function. So I'm going to say we're going to make a second damage function specifically for if we're attacking an enemy with this special like sword ability that's going to call. Okay, let me explain that better. When we attack an enemy with this very default kind of sword swing, that's going to be the ability that allows us to then take control of the enemy. So we're kind of like hacking into it with this sword kind of in a way. And so let's make a special function for that. Hi Neozord. Okay, take damage. So let's add another function. Take, what should we call it? Let's call it a possess attack. Try and make something super clear. Possess damage. Oh yeah, take possess damage. Okay. And damage. And so we'll do just a couple extra checks in here. So if our health is less than 0, we won't die. Instead, this attack will become possessed. So that allows us to clean up this die function as well. Okay, so the player's been killed. We start the stage. If we've been killed by another player, we just... If attacker enemy killed by another enemy, we can just destroy this game object. We've just died. However, here we no longer have to worry about. So this enemy has been killed by a player. Again, we can just destroy that normally now. And then let's take this code and we'll pop it into our new function. We don't want to do that. Attacker, yeah, just want that. Instead, let's have a transform as our attacker, yeah. Transform. Where are you from? Your English is so unique. The UK. So London, Great Britain. Yeah. Player controller.instance.currentplayer.transform. Okay. I just realized here we're actually just destroying the objects in every single one, so that kind of makes all these checks pointless. So let's sort that out. Okay. Take damage. Dot transform. I might have to clean up this code later actually, because it's getting a bit messy for my liking. Okay, that allows us to take possess. Okay. Okay, let's go back to the start. So here then we're going to be take possess damage. Still doing our normal damage. And let's carry that in. Take possess damage, and then we should have some sort of, have some sort of variable that comes out, So we can use this feature in C# that allows us to like return another variable. Oh no, actually, let's just call this a bool. So we'll return false, so this character hasn't been possessed. If they don't die, but if they do die, we'll return true. Or even better, we can return, actually no, we already have the enemy, that's fine. Yeah, that's all good. Damage, return true, possess, current player equals this, yes. Sprite, color, possess, yes, perfect, okay. So, if our possession is successful, we kill the enemy with this final strike. So my kind of game design thought behind this is we'll have to use all these other enemies to help to kill. So we have to take control of a strong enemy to help kill off all the enemies. However, to take control of an enemy, first you have to get them super weak, so you can then come in with this basic attack and finish them off. Okay, take possess damage. If that is successful, is player plus enemy equals true, and we can deactivate this game object. Game object dot set active false. Okay, that looks good. What were the caveats I had to check here for? Oh yes. Okay, so if... Oh no, actually no, that doesn't matter. Yeah, we can ignore that. Okay, it's possess. Okay, let's see if we can get this working first try. That would be pretty amazing. First of all though, we have to go through and set up all these variables. Okay. Attack rate. I'm gonna go for 3 times a second. Oh, that reminds me. We need to actually reset our attack when we finish. So here we do our attack. Let's add a to do some kind of animation. We need to have some sort of feedback that we've attacked, obviously. Some kind of animation. And then at the end, let's just reset our attack cooldown. So let's set our time to attack equal to our current time plus how long it's going to take for our attack to recharge. So that would be 1 over our attack rate. So if we're saying we can attack 3 times a second, our attack will be 1 over 3, which is 0.33 seconds. I'm pretty certain this song's copyrighted. But this is a remix, so hopefully I'll be fine. I really like this song though, so let's leave it on. Okay, so I've heard that if your live stream gets copyright striked, it will just like completely stop midway through. With a normal YouTube video, like especially if you're not monetized, it really doesn't matter if it gets copyright striked. Like you could lose monetization, but it's not a huge deal. Like it kind of sucks, but you still have the video out and everything's fine. With a live stream though, if that just went blank midway through, that would be awkward. Ooh. Okay. I didn't finish setting up, did I? No. Okay, attack distance, we'll set that. I'm thinking 1. Yeah, 1's probably fine. 1 second. Okay, perfect. Okay. Attack size set that to 0.5 for now. We can do some like debugs to get a better feel for this later. And damage just 1. Okay. So we can move around. Attack and the enemies don't know what's going on. Okay. Can't attack either. Okay, let's try and work out what's going wrong here. Attack direction. Okay, what's a good way to debug this? Let's have a think. First of all, let's just double check that we're actually calling this attack function, first of all. So attack. And of course, we're not calling it. So what's going wrong here? Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so the way I'm doing this on mouse left down is that I'm calling an event in this input handler. However, to then receive this event, I actually have to subscribe to it. So let's add that quickly. Player controller dot instance dot on left mouse and down, and we're going to subscribe. So whenever that event gets called, we will run this function. Okay, of all the mistakes, that's like probably the easiest one to fix. So let's hope there's no more. Okay, that seemed to work perfectly. So you can see as soon as we attack that enemy, we switch to him, and now we're playing the same. Okay, perfect. That worked great. Okay, so we can tick that. Add melee combat for the player. Done. Great. Okay, enemy switching only when melee attack. We've also done that. Health system. Okay, so I think, yeah, we're going to have some sort of global... How the health system is quite an interesting thing. So the way I'm thinking about it is when you switch to an enemy, you actually also gain 1 health. I think that'd be a quite neat way to kind of tie the combat and health system together. It's kind of like in Downwell as well, if anyone's familiar with that game, in where to gain health, you have to pick up a new weapon instead. So you're adding these interesting decisions. Okay, let's see. So how can we track the player's health globally? I think we'll do that in a player controller likely, yeah. That's a bit weird, tracking health in the input class, but I think it's the best idea we've got. Okay, let's track it in here. So public int player health. And we can create a void, yes, take damage. Player health minus damage. Okay. Take possession damage, die, take damage, move. Okay, let's go to our bullet script and then else if call dot. So I'm thinking if we have our enemy that we're possessing their health separate from the player's health. So maybe we can have a system where if the player you're possessing dies, you kind of become exposed. So your normal form is like put back into the world. Then if that dies, it's game over. Is that a good idea? No, let's have them both be game over states. So if the current enemy you're possessing dies, game over. If your base character dies, game over too. Okay. So that's player. We'll get the player controller. Actually, no. We don't have to do it in player controller then, if that's how we're gonna do our health system. Let's create an in there health. And we can just copy it from the enemy. Actually, no, we can just copy this one we made here. And as always, a public void, take damage, health, minus equal damage, and then let's just add a debug.log statement for now, I'd say. The player has died. Oh no. Okay. Then let's do another check in the enemy. So if we die, so if is possessed, we'll call that, else we'll just destroy the objects. Okay. Let's run through this one more time. They're not attacking default player, so I have to fix that. This is kind of just an awkward spew of bullets now, isn't it? Okay. So, whole system mostly working. Actually, no. Let's try and add in that bonus health idea I had. Yeah, so I want there to be loads of micro decisions the player's having to make during combat. So which enemy the player has to focus on, how they're going to recover their resources, and then also loads of decisions about which enemy they should be possessing and should they switch, would it be better? So what's the best way to go about implementing this? Let me just play the game as I think. So we're running around. In theory, they should all be attacking us now. Then we attack an enemy. We've taken control of them. So what is the best thing to do now at this point? So we've kind of taken control of them. If we attack another enemy, they die. I guess the enemies will be kind of vulnerable while you're playing as them. You can't dodge as easily. So maybe if when they die, you get like ejected from the possession and get put back into your normal base player form. Yes, you're playing, you kill a couple and you die. The player has died, yeah. we could just always make the player one hit. Would that be a kind of elegant way to go about it? Yeah, I think that works actually. And if you get hit, you get ejected from your form. Ooh. Let's brainstorm this for a little bit. Okay, so let's see what we've got already and let's build on this. So you attack enemy with sword. What happens after that? So when you use your sword ability to attack an enemy, then you immediately possess them. Oh wait, well, you do damage. And then if they die, then you possess them. Die equals possess. Okay, so now you're controlling an enemy. Now what's gonna happen if you take damage? I'm not sure how punishing to be here. If we have the base player be really, really weak, have them one shot is if they get killed. I'm trying to think what will lead to the most interesting gameplay. Because then I don't want it to be that as soon as you get hurt as a possessed enemy, you just come out and go possess someone else. It needs to be at least some sort of interesting mechanics. So you possess the enemy, you've taken control of them, then you take damage. What happens? Let's go for options. So number one, we can eject from the possession. 2, we could just, if die, game over. We restart the level. Oh yeah, I should say, yeah, takes damage and dies. Let's clarify that. Quick game over. What is the best way to punish the player for getting hit, whilst also encouraging this like fun like dynamic of constantly switching targets and like controlling different enemies? I think I'm leaning towards the game over state. Yeah, leaning towards the game over state, and then you have to manually eject. So if you notice your like enemies at low on health, you have to like manually eject. I'm thinking, yeah. Yeah, okay. Let's try this out. Okay. I believe that's what we already implemented, yeah. So if you're possessed and you die, we'll treat that as a game over. So let's add in the eject system. So in update, if we are possessed, we do the player update, and then we also do another check. So if input dot get key down, and let's just do it on the space bar for now. Akiko.space. We will, yeah, we'll just stop possession entirely. Yeah. So we'll set is possess equal to false. So we're taking control away from the player, and then we're gonna reactivate this base player object. So let's store that in here, current player, and then public, base player, and then we'll call that, what should we, can't really call it base player. We can just call that I think, yeah, let's just call it base player, that's fine. And then base player, player controller, instance, get the levels base player, and then we'll set that active true. And then we'll also set its position to our current position. And then we will die. We will just almost like sacrifice. That's actually a good way we're tying this idea back into the theme. So we can kind of choose to just sacrifice our possessed enemy, kill them, and then we get to start a new beginning and go off and try and find another enemy to possess. Yeah. That works, I think. Die. We don't need the attacker. That's not important. Base player, great. Okay. Where's the error in this? What's up? Oh yeah, we can just get rid of that. Awesome. Okay, let's. This probably won't be anything. Okay, let's actually get. Okay, no, let's check that what we did is working. So the player has died, awesome. And press space and error. Okay, what's it? Okay, we need to actually set our base player. So let's come into here and set that. Press space and we need to regain control. I think I can definitely come clean this up later. I'll probably do like cleaning up code stuff off stream since it's not super interesting. And it's kind of hard to talk and keep your code perfect at the same time. Hey Cloudy, how you doing? Well, okay, I have a couple, okay, so let's just add to do. So need to allow base player to take damage. We need to then also allow the AI to target the base player. So enemy AI update. Let's go shoot enemy. Current player equals null. Okay, I have a better way we can set this up. Oh, you get up and doing a platformer? Yes, it's unfortunate. I was really hoping to be able to use that like platform movement stuff, but I think with this theme and the idea I've kind of have, I think going down a top-down shooter approach will make more sense and lead to a better game overall. So it's a shame, but hopefully in some future game jam, eventually I'll get to use my platformer system. If not, I can always make a small game myself. Okay, if that equals null and equals null, then okay, no. Let's create a new variable, transform. This is going to be our target, and then we'll set that to either whatever player we're currently possessing. So we can use some funky C# syntax here, but don't worry about it too much. So whatever player, if we are currently possessing a enemy, let's rename this actually to current possessed enemy. If we have a possessed enemy, we'll use that. So we'll set our transform to that of this object. If not, then we will set it to our base player. This is going to be a really long line of code. Wow. Instance.base player. Don't worry about the syntax here too much. I think if you're interested, you're welcome to go Google it. But it's basically just an if statement. Dot transform. Okay, target. And so then we can get rid of this, that, back. And we will set this to just our target. Okay, so the enemy should actually attack our player now initially. Let's hope. Awesome. Okay, so then I take control of them. Now they're attacking this. I eject. Okay, I've lost control. Oh yes, that was one other thing I forgot to do. When we eject from a possessed enemy, we need to make sure we set all our variables back to saying that we're currently not possessing anyone. So where does that happen? Here. So this is where we get back control. Then let's also set our player controller.instance.base enemy and set that is player possessing enemy. Let's actually, let's delete that variable because that's completely unnecessary. Instead, we can just check with our player controller to see if we're possessing anyone. So we can set player controller dot instance dot current possessed enemy equal to, that is an enemy, yes. Set that to our enemy that we've gotten from the one we've just attacked with our sword. And then over here, we can check this and see if this is null. So if we have got a possessed enemy, we'll just return because we don't want to use our base class at all. I think a lot of this will be much easier to explain when we get graphics working, hopefully. Because right now it's kind of all in my head and I'm slowly refining the idea as we go along. Okay, so everyone's attacking me, I attack them. Oh, okay, that was not what I wanted. Okay, that worked. Okay, we can try this again afterwards. Okay, let's replay that. So attack, take control, eject. I take away control, moving way faster now. And attack again, I've taken control of this enemy. Okay. Okay, let me explain what's going on here and then let's work on the next system. So we come in and we're kind of this, oh, I don't like how everyone dies very easily. Okay, let's reduce the fire rate just so they don't, all the enemies don't immediately kill each other. Okay, fire rate 0.5. So that would be firing once every 2 seconds. Okay, so then I can take control of that enemy, I've possessed it. And now if I eject, now I'm going back to my normal self and we're spinning around because I forgot to set the constraints on the rigid body's rotation. Possess that enemy, awesome, okay. And yeah, so now we have their abilities, we can like shoot like them. And eject me, go back to our normal self. Okay. What is next on the to-do list? Improving the enemy AI. That is going to be a fun challenge, isn't it? Okay. Let's go back to our almost design document here. So everything has to be towards making these really interesting micro decisions. This video by Game Maker's Toolkit is great on this. It's talking about like Doom and how you're constantly assessing which enemies you should focus on, what weapons you should use, and trying to always recover health and ammo. So this is very interesting. I was also looking at this other game, this one called Devil Daggers, which you can kind of see is super minimalist and like retro looking. Another really interesting one when it comes to game design for arena shooters. Can eject from enemies, done. Kill enemy with base attack, control it, done. Control enemies, done. Different levels of threat, so players have to prioritize enemies. That's a really important idea we have to make sure comes across. Let's get rid of all that for now. Oh, that reminds me. What is the name of the app you are making? I assume you're talking about this one, yeah? This is Affinity Designer. It is amazing. So it's kind of like Adobe Illustrator, but it's much cheaper. So instead of a subscription fee, it's 50, about maybe $50, $60, I believe. And that's a one-off payment. So it's great. I love it a lot. It's not really designed for brainstorming, but I kind of have this system of switching between the brush and the text tool that works quite well. So hey. Personally, I find it slightly easier than using like a graphics tablet, for example. Okay, that reminds me. Let me get this live stream's description and put that in the pinned comment so people know roughly what kind of game we're making when I come into it. Okay, let's take that. Yeah, I just want to make a quick pinned comment. Bear with me for 1 second as I sort out some settings on the stream. Okay, let's paste that. Oh, it's over the character limit, that's annoying. Okay, let's delete that. Let me show you what you guys are doing. This is what I can see when I'm looking at the stream analytics. Okay. So I just want to have a pinned comment just so people understand kind of what game we're making, what's the theme, what's going on around here when they come into the stream. Okay, great. Let's bring that back over to my second monitor. Okay, enemy AI, let's get started. So let's have a play with this. So everyone's kind of just charging at me right now. So how should we approach this? Let me set the enemy's movement. Delete that. Let me set the enemy's movement to 0 and see how that affects the feel of the game for now. So we take control. Eject. Okay. I'm kind of liking the feel of this. It's not too bad, not yet. There's still definitely a lot of work. And did I just close something that I shouldn't have? Huh. Oh god, no. Let's... put that over there. Okay, I just closed the music and the live stream thing. So let me fix that quickly. How did that happen? Okay, that's back. Let's get the music back now. How about let's switch on the music. Let's go to some lo-fi. Okay, so we're going to work on trying to get the enemy AI working. Then we did the enemy eject already. That's loud. Let's turn that down. Whoa, okay. That's probably good. Okay, improve enemy AI, enemy holds ground. Choose less. The enemy design is going to be really important, because not only is that kind of like the main challenge in the game, it's also going to literally dictate the actual player's abilities as well. A top-down shooter where you can possess the enemies, kill enemies to take control of them, and death is a new beginning. Okay, I'm going to take a break from streaming for now. I'm going to think about this enemy design a little bit more, and then I'm going to come back and hopefully try and implement it and get all the core systems of the game working. Okay, that is a plan, and I will see you guys in the next stream. Okay, catch you all guys later.